Hi, this is Mike Maloney, and I just watched a fantastic new film on YouTube called BREXIT the Movie, and I highly recommend that everyone out there watch this movie and share it. It's very, very important, especially if you know anybody in Great Britain. Please forward this movie to them. This movie is so important that I've decided to dedicate the next several of my videos toward reviewing and analyzing sections of this film. The presenter, at about 14 minutes and 50 seconds into the film, makes the statement, "The Sage Art Center at Gateshead, we're often reminded, was built with the help of EU money. But what you're not told is that if you live in the Northeast, for every £1 that comes from the EU, you have to pay £2.30 in tax." Now, they didn't go any further into that concept, but what I want to do is sort of take this apart a little and analyze why you always have to pay the government more than you can get out of it. Governments are frictional. All of the jobs in them I call frictional. This is the happy taxpayer, and the taxpayer every now and then has to pay tax to some government agency, whether it's local, state, or federal. We'll call this the IRS. But at the IRS, there are thousands of people that work for it, and there are thousands of support staff that do things like maintain the building and all of the other goods and services that are required to run some agency like the IRS. And let's not forget the attorneys that help to come up with these laws and enforce these laws. And what is left is then turned over to the Treasury, and there's people there that have to get paid too. And what's left after that goes to Congress, and now Congress is all these congressmen and senators and all of their support staff. The congressmen and senators, they're going to spend months and months arguing about whether or not to create some new agency and some new spending bill because they want to stimulate the economy and they want to help all of us. And, you know, there's all those aides, and then there's support staff that all have to get paid. And then what's left over goes to the White House. And over at the White House, there's going to be a group of people that are going to argue whether or not the president should sign this new bill into law. But the president always does, because if you create a new agency or do something, it looks like you are helping the people and you're living up to all those promises that you made when you were running for office. And then what's left over goes to create some new government agency. So here's a brand new department. And this is the administrative offices in Washington, D.C. So we've got these big buildings filled with thousands of people again, and all of the support staff required to maintain that department. And then what comes out of that goes to some state branch of that department. But that also has multiple layers of bureaucracy, and it's got a support staff that's required to keep things running. And finally, it gets to the local level, where a tiny little bit comes spitting out to pay some teacher. Now, this could be something that is currently running like the education system, but it could also be some brand new thing like the Department of Homeland Security or the TSA. My point here, though, is you pay a whole lot more going in than what comes out. Always, because you've got these thousands of people that all have to have a tiny microscopic bit of your taxes, but it adds up as you go past person after person after person in government. This adds up to quite a sum, and so it's impossible for the government to ever give us anything without great cost. What if we could just pay that teacher directly? And through the free market, you can do things like this. What you get then is more teachers and higher quality teachers. We could have this, but we don't. We choose to always go. We want the government to take care of things for us, to make things better, and the government can't. And this is one of the topics that they almost talked about in this very, very important film. Please watch the film. It's embedded on my website. And if you got a lot from this video, please like it and share it. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.